Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report, PWR Primetime Live. Up next, we have a loaded, huge, stacked show for you all over the world. Our associates are with us, but before we get to that, WrestleMania finally has a plan, or so it seems. Was WrestleMania on ESPN just last night a test? Ken Anderson joins us live, and so much more. We are very pleased that all of you have joined us, including the PWR associates all over the world, Drew, Meathead, and Linda, joining us tonight. The Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time starts right now. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Live for Monday, March 23rd, 2020. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Octavius the Tiberius, the alleged backyard one-time knockout, straight edge, still can't put his phone on mute, Hall of Famer, Hero. How the heck are you?
It's Monday, right? It feels like every other day but a Monday.
What do you mean?
It just we've been quarantined in the Fortress of Solitude for so long.
Yes, we're following the orders.
It doesn't feel like a Monday.
What does it feel like?
Thursday?
We're not live on Thursdays.
Then what are we doing here?
We're live on Monday, which is what it is. Folks, thank you for joining us wherever you are all over the world. As you know, we are live right now on Fight TV. That's F-I-T-E, Fight TV, which has 24/7 wrestling programming on, available for you right now at no charge. That's Fight.tv. You can download the app onto your device, and wherever you can watch Netflix, you can watch Fight as well. We're also pleased to be broadcasting live all over the world across our social media channels, including our YouTube channel, Facebook Live, Twitter, Twitch as well.
We're everywhere.
That's what I just said.
It's amazing how many people can now see you.
We are also live on PWR360.com, and of course this show prides itself on bringing the audience into the action, and you can comment along with us on all those channels I just talked about a moment ago. Join us and comment along, and we'll be able to share a lot of your comments
already coming in
on the screen. Comments are flying in. We'll also be announcing tonight's super fans with another surprise bonus and a huge announcement coming up in just a few minutes about an expansion of our programming.
Whoa. We're doing more than just Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
Why not?
But you said
we're 360, baby. We're covering everything all over the world.
Well, obviously, we need to be on 5 days a week, because otherwise they'll just be talking about that gimmick virus from China.
The COVID-19?
Exactly.
Or do you refer to it as a particular ethnicity virus?
No, I would never say that.
How's your quarantine been? Are you keeping yourself away from others?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, Cal and I chilling here at the Fortress, and it's been, you pop in every now and then. We get nervous
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Because you're from China, so,
I'm not from China. I happen to live there for a little while. Now I don't.
3 years?
2. Folks, I want to remind you to subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Make sure you always get the notifications of the broadcast. Just click on subscribe, and then make sure the notifications are turned on as well. So with that, let's go immediately, Dave, into this week's big top story. And it appears as if, well, finally, WrestleMania has a plan. A plan for its broadcast next weekend to recap where we were and where we are now. As you may have heard or recall, WrestleMania is now expanded to 2 nights. It is too big for 1 night, and will be broadcast over the course of next Saturday and Sunday nights. We've learned that the show will start at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What we haven't shared with you, though, is how we are going to provide you that 360-degree coverage of WrestleMania right here for the PWR studios, including our associates all over the United States. But WrestleMania, 7 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. We have since learned that the show is actually being taped in advance. And while that may put people into a frenzy, if not for the current situation, it's probably the smartest thing WWE can do, taping WrestleMania in advance.
It is, because if they don't do it this week, it may not happen. So if you want to see WrestleMania in June, July, or August, they're not going to tape it. But this way, it's going to be closed set, apparently multiple locations, and they're going to be taping pretty much 12, 13 hours a day.
We know it's going to be at the Performance Center. We hear that it may also include segments taped at Full Sail University. WWE stationed basically in Orlando right now. That's their headquarters, which, you know, a couple of weeks ago, some people and a lot of people were laughing at the fact that they had gotten kicked out of Full Sail for a week and we're going to have to do that 1 week of NXT at the Performance Center.
It's almost like they knew and it was a trial run.
I'm sure they didn't, but you're right. It did work out tremendously in their favor, because who knew that just 1 week later they would be forced to move all of their programming to the Performance Center.
Imagine if they didn't have the PC.
What would they do?
Would they be up at that old warehouse in Stamford where they had Tough Enough?
Maybe.
Tracks?
They do have
Is that what
TV
it's called?
studios in Stamford as well.
They do.
And now they don't have to worry about holding an audience.
Well, exactly. And that's going to be the most interesting thing, because so many of those guys are audience-based talents. Daniel Bryan, John Cena, The Undertaker. There's not going to, Goldberg.
Yeah.
I hope they don't pipe in any background sound.
Well, we'll see what happens. I'm sure that their production will continue to be top-notch, as it always has. But I do have a question. With the shows being taped, no audience in play, is there a side benefit here? Because they don't necessarily have to worry about catering to the live audience, the masses and the fans, 80,000 people, which plays a role in the production and the presentation of the show.
Here's the problem. They're going to cater to nobody. How many times do you watch them walk down to the ring, point at nobody in the stands, hop in the ring, climb to the second turnbuckle, and point again? Who are they pointing at? I mean, but that's how programmed they are. They have to, realize, okay, I'm just going to walk to the ring. I don't have to work the audience for anybody.
Yeah, true. Sorry about those audio issues there. We've got those resolved. It seems to be. Why do you always break the microphones? It's still not working right.
Why is it always my fault?
Everything is your fault. Haven't you learned that?
Is that what it is?
I'm sorry?
Is it because I'm tan?
Have you been going to the tanning location?
Oh, no, I can't go anywhere right now.
Folks, let's go to our associates all over the United States. And before we do that, I think it's important, David, that we explain to the world why indeed our analysts are referred to as our associates.
Oh, it's one of the highest honors you can be. When the late, great Mean Gene Okerlund would do events with us, and he would take us and we would meet his dear, close, personal, and longtime friends, he would always introduce Damien and I as his associates, and he meant it with the utmost respect, and it was a term of endearment. So now whenever someone comes and joins the team, as a nod to Mean Gene, they are the associates as well.
And we're happy to have our associates on board with us. Let's go now to all of them. Team, welcome aboard.
There they
Drew,
are.
Meathead, Linda, how you guys doing here on a Monday night? Are you ready for Raw?
Yeah, ready.
Oh, yes.
That's fantastic.
Leading up to Mania, we'll see how this goes.
Indeed. We're all going on the fly here. And we talked about WrestleMania not necessarily being on the fly any longer. They have a plan. It seems like that plan is solid. Wednesday and Thursday are the alleged days that they're going to be taping WrestleMania this week. Several risks come with that. I know, Drew, you're going to touch on that point. But first, I want to get your thoughts around the horn here of, is there a benefit to there not being a live audience in front, or the performance, rather, being in front of an empty arena? We'll start with you, Meathead.
I don't know if there's a benefit. Again, Dave brought up a great point about...
That's not Meathead.
Hey, Cal, fix that.
Sorry, go ahead, Meathead.
I don't know if there's a benefit. Dave brings up a great point. A lot of the talents are pre-programmed. As we've noticed over the last 3-4 non-audience shows, some people are just in their ways. Damien used to trash Bret the Hitman Hart so many years ago about the same 7 moves that he used to do over and over. Remember, Damien? I mean, this was pre-Cena about, how he did this move and that move and whatever. A lot of the talents, they're good at what they do, but they don't know how to ad-lib from what they do.
She's going to get hot at you for that. Cal, seriously.
Drew, your thoughts?
I think it's a disadvantage. I mean, I think the crowd brings so much to this one particular event that it's tough for them to not have, anybody there. So I think it's a huge disadvantage. And I think that the event of WrestleMania has been so built around fans and the spectacle and everything else that I think they're at a giant disadvantage. I'll be interested to see what the product is come Saturday and Sunday, April 4th and 5th. I really will be.
You look so enthused and so ready for it.
It's tough. I mean, this is a weekend where we all get together and we all, celebrate the whole culmination of a year's work of wrestling. So it's a weekend to get away. It's a weekend to enjoy the best of the best. And right now it just feels like nothing, to be honest with you.
Linda Kay, you've been part.
She's going to be pissed.
Linda Kay, you've been what is this trickery you're playing there, David?
Cal, seriously.
Linda, you've been a part of WrestleMania week and weekend for years. As you know, we've been going down, having shenanigans party, things of that nature. No audience. Is it a benefit or is it a detriment to WWE and what they will produce?
Well, the only benefit is that it's helping stop the threat of the spreading of coronavirus. But obviously, like we've all touched on, every wrestler from the start has been trained to talk to an audience, to speak, to react, to feed off that audience. And without it, them recording WrestleMania this week, are they now trained to speak to nobody? Everyone's already, like you said, naturally going on the second turnbuckle, pointing to the WrestleMania sign, shouting to the crowd. Or, last weekend, UFC Brasilia, after a post-fight interview, Michael Bisping even said, make some noise to a stadium with nobody there. It's just natural to react, to feed into that crowd. And without one there, are they just going to not make any additional, pointing, shouting? We'll see, but that's definitely disadvantage.
One of the problems is going to be when they hit the big moves, and there's no reaction from the crowd.
You've got the announcers, which are, as Al told us last week, Al Snow told us last week on the show that they could fill in to a degree, but you're right.
But let's be fair. Usually the announcers during Raw and SmackDown are talking about other things than the match.
Yeah.
So they have to get over. If there was ever a time to get Jim Ross back, it's right now.
Well, he's on AEW.
Because he could tell the stories.
Well, he does on AEW.
Yeah, but that's not going to help him at WrestleMania.
But he's in AEW.
One more time. I don't know where he is.
Jim Ross is the play-by-play man for AEW
that.
Wednesday nights on Dynamite,
yes,
which we'll talk about later because they made some moves as well.
They did. But I'm just saying they need to, without an audience, the announcers have to tell the story in the ring. Because if you can't hear a reaction, the oohs and the ahs and the cheers and the boos, Joe Walmart sitting at home on his couch isn't really sure what's going on.
Well, we've got a comment, as you see here, coming in. We've got someone who wanted to comment about Jim Ross. Schubert?
Yes.
I was looking for assistance with the last name. Schubert Aloysius? Aloysius.
You know what? Either one of them works, yes.
I think we need to bring Jim Ross. If anyone could sell, it has to be Ross. Now, is this not giving Michael Cole his due credit?
No, Cole is great, but he's not a storyteller.
Yes, he is.
He's not a Jim Ross. And I like Michael Cole does a great job, but I think he's going to be way busier doing other things. He's going to be the glue that keeps that show together.
All right.
He's only on one brand right now, right?
The big brand,
yes.
Friday Night SmackDown.
So then he has to get reacquainted with a lot of the Raw stories and the NXT talent and everything else.
Well, let's go to the associates. What do you guys think? Can the announcers fill the void, especially in those cases of those high spots and when the moves happen or when a match ends or when an entrance happens? Will everyone's entrance be gronked as it was last Friday night on SmackDown? Or can Michael Cole fill that void, or would a better person be better in that role? Meathead.
He can fill it. The problem is that he's not going to be able to fill it for the entire show. I mean, the good news is that because they're taping these segments in advance, he'll have time to take a break, take a breath, get a drink, get a lozenge, and move on. If he was doing 4 hours in a row of telling one story,
I'm out of here. Get me a Diet Coke.
Right, he wouldn't be able to do it. So they'll be able to pace him. To be honest, I mean, he's probably going to call all these live, but it might even be a
looks like we're losing you a little bit.
He's going to end up sitting ringside all the time.
You know what they could even do? They could even do the commentary post.
They could, and maybe
that's what I just said. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Your commentary was in post.
At least I'm not seeing Linda Kay.
Speaking of Linda Kay, can the announcers fill the void at WrestleMania this next weekend?
To an extent. I mean, we've kind of seen the commentators being involved during the matches during Raw and SmackDown. We had Austin, with Byron Saxton. I know that was a whole segment, a whole gimmick segment. But the first SmackDown, with the start of SmackDown, when Bayley and Sasha came out and spoke to Triple H at the commentary table. So to an extent, but not for the entire show, both nights.
All right, and finally, Drew, what do you say?
What a time for Triple H not to be on the WrestleMania card, because, I mean, he killed it on SmackDown, so why not put him there? It's a daunting task. I think Michael Cole doesn't get enough credit. I believe he trains most of these new guys that come in, the Vic Josephs, who had recently departed, and all these other announcers, besides, Jerry Lawler and I would say Corey Graves. But I think Michael Cole can do a fantastic job, but it is a daunting task, and one I think Jim Ross would be perfect for, but I don't know. An empty arena match for a whole card is going to be tough.
Well, another match has been added to WrestleMania, and this one's an interesting one, David Hero, as it will feature Bobby Lashley. Is he still with Lana? They still doing that thing on the side?
I'm sure they're doing stuff on the side, but I haven't seen them on TV together.
Well, Bobby Lashley will be going one-on-one with Aleister Black at WrestleMania. Don't know if that's WrestleMania
How did they get there?
36.1 or 36.2. I don't know how they got there, which is why I wanted to bring it up and talk about it.
I mean,
I'm sure we missed something.
You know what? I mean, it's a great opportunity for Aleister Black. It's a great one for Bobby Lashley because they're both complete opposite styles of wrestlers, and both of them need this win bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it means more for Aleister Black to beat the Dominator in Bobby Lashley, but, Bobby Lashley needs to get back on track after pretty much a failed program with Rusev.
Failed?
What has he done since then? He lost to Ricochet after that.
Whoa,
and where's Ricochet been? He's been on main event
wait
since then.
Hold up. Pump the brakes. Beep, beep, beep. Back it up.
Yeah.
What's your problem with Ricochet?
Where is he?
He's on Raw.
No, he's on main event. He might not even be on
Okay,
WrestleMania.
that's an interesting thing. And I want to ask this question because everybody's talking about how Ricochet got buried. He went to Saudi Arabia, had the big match with Brock Lesnar, right? And then what? Well, then what?
Rewind. What happened was he had an in-ring promo first. That didn't get over. And then he goes to Saudi, and Brock beats him, crushes him.
Who thought anything different would happen?
Well, exactly. And then you don't see him anymore.
But what else should they have done with him? Because I've heard many people say, you take a person, you put him, you elevate him, you give him that spot, pull him back a little bit, bring him back because now they got cred. Ricochet has cred because he hung for at least a few minutes with Brock Lesnar.
They pulled him back so far, he's now on main event with Kurt Hawkins and
He's
Zack
still
Ryder.
on TV.
No,
he's still on the network.
Main event is not on TV.
He's still, yes it is. Internationally, in a lot of markets, main event is on TV.
I'm not international right now.
We all are.
I'm in this market.
It is so clear to me that it's so difficult to get anywhere with you at times that
No,
I'm
but
so glad that we have our associates.
Bobby Lashley had a run with Rusev, got a ton of heat on him, and then Ricochet beats him.
Yes. After Brock Lesnar beat Ricochet and after this promo you talked about.
Right.
So Ricochet's still in a good place.
No, he's not.
You just don't like him because he's small. You don't like him because he shaved his beard.
I didn't even notice.
Let's go to the associates. Drew, what do you think? Ricochet, doghouse or not?
I mean, I think him being in that main event in Saudi wasn't in the doghouse, but then I think the next night on Raw, wasn't he getting buried by the 24/7 champion? I mean,
There it
that's
is.
doghouse to me.
So he's not. Good.
No.
You're an educated man, smart. Got a nice tie there, nice collar, looking good. Looking good. Meathead, Ricochet, what should they have done with him after the big match with Brock Lesnar in Saudi Arabia?
205 Live.
So, of course, he got crushed, but you continue to put him on big TV because, as Dave said, main event's not TV. Not for your general casual fan. Main event's not TV. You put him on there. He works every night, but, I mean, what is he doing? What is the investment in Ricochet right now for a fan?
This fan's invested in Ricochet. Ricochet's an amazing talent, a tremendous talent. Did I expect that he would beat Brock Lesnar? Absolutely not. Was I happy he was in that spot? Absolutely yes. Do I want to see him still perform, whether it be on main event, whether it be on Raw, whether it be on SmackDown, whether it be in NXT?
It was a 3-minute
Absolutely.
squash.
It was a match.
But where does he go from here, Damien? Where does he
Would you
go?
pass up on a match with Brock Lesnar?
Absolutely, I would.
Where does he go from here, Drew? The answer to that is he goes to nearing the point of being endorsed, joining in the likes of The Miz, joining the likes of Cody Rhodes, people who this broadcast journalist knew would be stars, would be the top of the business one day, and Ricochet may be there soon.
Okay.
You know, Damien, you
Sure.
keep forgetting to mention the other endorsed stars that aren't there. Where's Rob Terry at? He was endorsed, wasn't he?
So, anyways, that's WrestleMania. What are you doing in my shot?
I got my pen. I gotta take
David,
notes.
I wanted to ask.
It's a free for all.
I would have liked to have seen Ricochet and Aleister Black in a match at Mania. I think that
There
would
you
have been
go. There you go.
Yeah,
more
Aleister
interesting
Black
with
would've
Lashley.
kicked
But I don't know. But I mean, Bobby Lashley and Aleister Black both have the striking, kicking, or Bobby Lashley, former MMA pro. Maybe they'll appeal to some of us who also watch MMA. I want to see a little bit of that kind of focus in that fight. Who knows?
There's no doubt he's talented. I think he got buried, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, this is an interesting comment from Facebook coming to us from, if I can find it here, sorry about that, Ryan Cross, and this ought to be good. It feels like Hero wrote this. It's about time WWE starts pushing men and not 175-pound boys like Ricochet. Get that boy a protein shake and send him to the gym. Now, Ryan, I got to challenge you on that. I think that's a bit of a shallow and inappropriate comment because what about Daniel Bryan? What about Shawn Michaels?
Well, first of all, Daniel Bryan has vegan protein shakes, and you've seen him chop wood before.
I have not seen that wood chop wood.
I didn't say he was chucking wood. I said he was chopping wood. It's a big difference. Huge.
I think it's an unfair comparison. Look, this size argument, and we've had it for many years on this program, this size argument just needs to be squashed. I agree.
It did. It happened in Saudi by Brock Lesnar.
There was a time in wrestling where size mattered. But there is a time now in wrestling where if you look at especially a lot of the other organizations, AEW being case in point, WWE being case in point, size does not matter.
Do you know why
anymore.
it doesn't matter? Because most of the guys aren't over 6'1".
But what is that? Well, why is that important? Why is that important? Why do people like Ryan Cross? Why do people get hung up on that?
If you look at when wrestling was its biggest and best as far as drawing money, you had larger than life characters. You had a Hulk Hogan. You had Andre the Giant. You had Ultimate Warrior. Okay, you had guys like that. You had the Road Warriors. They drew tons of money. You had The Rock and Steve Austin and the NWO and DX. Bigger guys. Now, I mean, if you look at it, I would easily say 70%, 7 out of 10 guys can go back and forth between 205 Live and the main roster right now.
Yes, and I think that's an inherent problem with the fact that 205 Live exists. Why differentiates a different brand from your other brands where the real differentiation is not there?
When they announced Finn Balor as the Universal Champion,
Endorsed
they said
Finn Balor.
weighing in at 176 pounds.
See, there's you're back to being a weight system again. You're being a weight system.
That's 29 pounds less than the limit on 205 Live.
Folks, we are live. We've got our associates all over the United States. We've got so much more to bring you. Coming up in just a few minutes,
Why are you so
Ken
high about
Anderson
this?
joins us. I've already shifted gears because we've got a format to follow here. But big news, David Hero, and we are pleased to share with all of you. Keep the comments coming in on Ricochet and the size conversation. But, David, it's time for us
Yes.
to bring them more.
I'm all about giving more.
Is that right?
Yeah, I love more.
Well, folks, starting tomorrow night, Tuesday nights, we go live with a brand new show from the Pro Wrestling Report called Reaction. Reaction will be live every Tuesday and Thursday night on Fight
Pump the
TV.
brakes. Reaction, that's that show we used to do where the fans would give their takes and everything?
No, that was Feedback Friday. So this is on a Tuesday and a Thursday.
Okay.
So it's Reaction.
So it's like TNT, Tuesday and Thursday?
If that helps you get
Sure.
through the rest of the broadcast, sure.
I won't forget.
Reaction live, 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Here's how you can be a part of it, folks. We're going to be soliciting your comments. Linda will be joining us on Reaction, and we'll be reading your comments and sharing them as we are live. We will be live 5 nights a week. 5 times a week. And Reaction starts tomorrow night. So anytime you use that hashtag PWR Live, those comments get sent in for consideration. And your questions get sent in for consideration to be a part of PWR Live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Reaction 5 nights a week.
I cannot
Who
wait.
said quarantine life was bad?
Not me. But now 5 times?
We'll continue to join and hear from all of the associates here on Primetime, which of course will continue on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays just before Raw, AEW Dynamite, and SmackDown on Friday nights. And we'll soon be sharing with you all of our WrestleMania coverage and what you can expect during WrestleMania weekend. We will take full advantage of the opportunity to share our thoughts, your views, and opinions as well during WrestleMania weekend here with PWR 360. And one thing to keep in mind that's very important to all of us is throughout this entire period, through WrestleMania, one thing we have long prided ourselves on and will continue to pride ourselves on is that we are fans. We view things from a fan's perspective and give you a bit more insight, but much like a lot of fans out there, what we don't want is for something to be spoiled by spoilers. So this will be, we are deeming this a spoiler-free zone all the way through WrestleMania. And David Hero, you've had some passionate comments about what you expect some other wrestling outlets to be doing over the next few weeks that may damage the business.
I mean, for me, not only are we quarantining ourselves in our homes, you might even want to quarantine yourself off of the Twitter machine. You know, or at least unfollow or mute all the wrestling other sites, because someone's going to slip, and there's nothing worse than knowing who's going to win the main event.
Absolutely. And you may want to know, but folks, just think about some of the greatest moments in wrestling. Eric Bischoff debuting in WWE, the Ultimate Warrior returning at WrestleMania 8, the NWO at Bash of the Beach 1996, Matt Hardy last week on Dynamite. When you don't know, it's that much better, and we want that much better, so we are going to lead the cause and not spoil your good times in professional wrestling. How do you feel about that, Dave?
You know what? I'm glad you said it.
I did say
because it was something that's been bothering me for quite a while.
Folks, I don't know what happened there.
Seriously,
we're live.
You know what?
Well, we do have to talk about what's next, which is Ken Anderson coming up right after the break here in less than 1 minute's time. We're going to talk to him about his current event situation, NWA Power, and more. The associates will be back with us as well. PWR Prime Time continues live right here on Fight TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch.
The wait is over. All Elite Wrestling is now available on AEW Plus.
What are we seeing?
This is your chance to watch AEW Dynamite, commercial-free and live every Wednesday night.
Let's do this!
Exclusively on the Fight Digital Sports television platform.
AEW.
AEW Plus is available in over 100 countries outside the US, Canada, Germany, and France. AEW Plus can be viewed on your smart TV, mobile device, Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, or at Fight.tv.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Starting this month, AEW Plus will also feature every episode of AEW Dark. Download the Fight app now and join the revolution today.
Hey everybody, this is WWE Champion, Chicago's own straight edge superstar CM Punk, and you are watching PWR on My 24 Milwaukee.
Collar and elbow bouts usually began as a contest of balance. The opening position or stance featured the hand and arm positioning which gave the wrestling style its name. Contestants faced one another, each placing one hand on his adversary's shoulder and gripping his adversary's forearm with his other hand. This establishes the opening box, prevents bull-like rushes or throat grabs, minimizes disadvantages in height or arm's reach, and prevents deft footwork. Here, the champion squares off with the challenger. Each holds the stance until his opponent forces or permits him to break.
Hello, this is
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report, Prime Time Live. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero. We're joined by our
Collar and
associates
elbow.
all over the United States.
See? The Collar and Elbow brand.
It's a brand.
It is a brand. We just dropped our new line, the new springish line, the WrestleMania line. collarandelbowbrand.com. Hop on there and use the promo code OVWPWR.
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 What does that get you?
It's going to get you some free shipping.
Free?
Yes.
All the way free?
All the way
So I can
free.
order shirts at Collar and Elbow, whatever the website is. What is it?
Collarandelbowbrand.com.
Brand. I always forget
Yes.
that part. And you will have someone bring them to my dwelling for free.
Meathead will do that.
Is that right?
Or if you put the promo code in OVWPWR, they will ship it to you for free.
Well, that is a great deal. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we're proud to be partnered with Collar and Elbow and look for a lot of new designs coming up, including some we're going to see Wednesday night when we're live with you again, when we're joined by two, not one, but two big guests on Wednesday, and we'll talk more about those in just a moment. But before we get to that, folks, a big night. We want to remind you, you can always get notified when the Pro Wrestling Report is live, which is now 5 nights a week. Just subscribe to us on YouTube and like us on Facebook. Turn on your notifications on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at PWR360, which you see there down in the bottom of your screen.
Mm-hmm.
You can always be a part of the Pro Wrestling Report.
And don't forget the Instagram, PWR360 now.
Ah, thank you. See, I did forget the Instagram, so good thing you were there to remind me of the Instagram.
That's what I do.
It is what you do, and what we do, folks, is on each edition of PWR Primetime Live on Fight TV, we bring you a wrestling star as a guest. And as you know, we had announced that Rikishi would be our guest tonight. Unfortunately, Rikishi had to reschedule. You'll see him soon. But, of course, we're going to fulfill our promise, and we are very happy to bring you a longtime friend of the Pro Wrestling Report, a man who, well, he needs no introduction or he needs 2 introductions.
He does his own deal. It's all on his own.
His own deal.
His own deal.
Huh. All right. Well, folks, we are so happy. We are so happy to have our guest this week, Ken Anderson. And tonight's PWR Primetime Live continues. And, folks, we're all about bringing the stars to you and you to the stars. And, of course, while you're graced by the presence of this star every week.
And this guy.
What's your name again? Justin?
No. It's Hero. 2 R's. Original.
Oh.
Unique.
I thought there was only 1 R in LeBar.
There's an L in there also.
Well, folks, without further ado, it's time to go to tonight's guest. And joining us live now from Minneapolis, Minnesota, his name is Mr. Ken Anderson. Ken, welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. How the heck are you?
I'm fantastic. I couldn't be better, honestly.
I can tell by that smile on your face.
Is there a situation going on or something? Is something going on?
Depends on which news network you watch.
I don't watch any of the news network. I'm completely unplugged, and I love it.
It feels good, huh?
It does.
Well, Ken, tell me a story. Tell us a story. What is new? What is going on with you? Obviously, these times are a bit unique in the world, as we just made a little light of, but not, of course, really. But you're hunkered down up there in Minneapolis. I think it's warming up a little bit. But what is your life like, given this whole quarantine life?
You know, I mean, a week ago when I was told I would have to shut the academy down, it was a big kick in the pants, because my wife and I have been doing the academy for the last 3 years. We haven't taken a week off. The only time we've had any time off was if I had a booking out of town or out of country or something like that. But to suddenly tell us that we had to completely stop that was crazy. But I'm actually enjoying it. I'm enjoying the fact that I have not had human interaction other than like Facebook.
Oh, easy. It's a family show.
Hey, well, I was getting there.
Can see those wheels spinning.
I haven't had human interaction other than my lovely, beautiful wife, and I haven't really missed it. I've needed a little bit of a vacation, I feel.
So, what did they tell you when they said you're going to come in and they're going to say, hey, the school has to close for a little while? Did they say how long they thought it might be?
It's officially, the last I heard was it was closed until 5 p.m. on the 27th. And that was basically all non-essential businesses.
Until April 27th?
It was till March 27th. I haven't heard an update since then. There hasn't been an update yet, so...
Are you waiting for the National Guard to come in? What are you looking over your shoulder for?
That's the human interaction he was talking about.
So, we're keeping you, obviously. But let's back up a little bit, Ken, and tell us a bit more about the school, the academy. We talked to you, actually, when the academy was first starting back on the last version of Prime Time when we were doing that. But give us an update as to what the last few years have been and what people can learn with your tutelage and how they can be a part of it.
Well, one of the biggest things that I say that I can teach my students is what not to do in the wrestling business, because I've made just about every mistake one can make. And I say that tongue in cheek, but it's a reality. It's just like with my kids, with my real kids. I hope teach them, hey, these are the mistakes that Dad made. Please don't go ahead and do these. But I've also, I've been in the business now for 20 years, and I'm pretty well aware of what people are looking for in the wrestling business. And I can basically tell you, hey, these are the mistakes that we made. Davari and I spun our wheels for 6 years before we got signed. And I say Davari and I, there was a big group of us, but, Davari and I were the tightest. We traveled together. We had the same sort of dreams and the same sort of drive to get there. So hopefully I'm able to make connections too between my students and, making sure that they're able to get in front of those live audiences for WWE and TNA. I'm obviously not affiliated with any of those, but I can make those connections.
Yeah.
And you've had quite a few of your students actually down at NXT and get looks by WWE and AEW, haven't you, lately?
Yeah, and so every time the WWE comes around the area, they always use extras for, matches. Or I've had two of my students that have actually done matches for 205 Live. One of my students performed for NXT. He did a kind of a squash match with Cassius Ohno. And just basically, hey guys, stay in their spotlight. They're not going to come looking for you. You need to sort of reach out to them, and you need to present them with, like, here is my body of work, and here's how I've gotten better since the last time you saw me.
Ken, you mentioned earlier about what the wrestling business and the wrestling companies are looking for, but and what mistakes not to make. Share with us at least one, or the biggest mistake that inbound students into the academy exhibit that you find yourself correcting very often.
Well, one of the things I think with social media being as ubiquitous as it is, we
Where'd
people.
Go?
Whoops, there it is.
Right here. It's very easy for people to be coach critics.
Yeah.
And critique. They when you're a fan, you have wrestlers that you just don't like, and now back when I first started out, if you didn't like somebody, you kept it to yourself. Now you're able to basically spout that off to the entire world. And a lot of times I have to go and tell my students, like, hey, I know that you don't particularly care for this person, but you need to go back and clear your history of your public disdain
Scrub
for
your social media.
Exactly.
And that's actually a very important point, because so many people say so many things on social media right now, and they're not thinking about the future. They're not thinking about people like you who are bringing them on board and looking at, okay, who is this guy, Jabron E? What's he said on Facebook? What's he said on Instagram? What's he said on Twitter? What's he selling? What's he buying? All of his public image, if you will. And people may not realize how important that actually is to ever getting anywhere, not just in wrestling, but in life.
Yeah, and I have at times I felt like the world needs to know what Ken Anderson thinks about X, and they just don't. And I will, in those cases, I wish I would have just kept it to myself or kept it amongst us privately.
Yeah. So recently, Ken, we saw you down in Atlanta as part of NWA Power. Tell us about that experience. And we know we had ODB on the other day, and she shared with us that obviously, much like everybody else, it's going to be a while before things are back to normal and wrestling shows are taping again. But what was your takeaway from your appearances with the new NWA Power?
Just a fantastic work environment. Everybody is there for a common goal, and that's to put on the best wrestling show we possibly can. I loved the fact that Billy and Dave would come to us with an idea or some bullet points and just say, hey, I want you to cut a promo, but there would be very little direction, sometimes almost like no direction at all, to the point where that became stressful. But it's kind of nice because it's a sink or swim on your own accord type of scenario. They're not going to let you fail. They don't want you to go out there and fail, obviously, but they do give you the opportunity to make those. Sometimes if you have an idea and you present it to somebody, they don't quite see it your way. If you've asked permission and they said no, you're dead in the water. You can't do it. Now they sort of take that away and allow you to make those mistakes.
Yep. Well, this is the Pro Wrestling Report, PWR Primetime Live. We're live on Fight TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and also on Twitch. Ken Anderson is joining us here live. We're taking your comments, and we'll get to that in just a minute. We do have some questions for you from the universe out there, Ken. But first, Dave, you had a question of your own.
So, Ken, now with NWA, they brought back studio wrestling. WrestleMania, of course, not going to be in the big stadium. Can you imagine doing your Money in the Bank match at the center stage studio with no fans?
It's just a crazy time that we're living in, and I just can't imagine that Drew McIntyre, his boyhood dream. That's just such a bummer to think that like his boyhood dream is going to
be in a warehouse.
Be in a warehouse in front of no people. They're going to set indoor attendance records.
And they will talk about it that way, just like they're saying it's too big, it can't fit in one night, now it's 2 nights. Right. Appreciate the marketing efforts because they're great at that, but it's all about the spin.
But now, Ken, you were one of the guys that was big in the crowd interaction. You fed off the crowd, you got them involved.
Interaction.
How do you do it? How do you keep charisma in a match when there's no crowd to work in front of?
I don't know. And I'll tell you that most wrestlers don't have a lot of experience working in front of zero crowd. It's one of the things that we focus on at the academy. We have matches every single week, so my students are used to working in front of no crowd. Because I think that is really, really hard to be able to, like you said, we feed off of energy from the crowds, the emotions. We listen to their emotions. sometimes they're not biting on one particular thing we're doing, so we have to, oh, hey, that's not working, let's go this way. And you really don't have that luxury when you're in front of 0 people. You literally have to go in front of the camera guys, and that's it.
As we said before, we are live. We are taking your questions here live on air and your comments. We do have one from a user on Twitter at Combat Republic who asks of Mr. Anderson, now that the TNA WrestleCon show has been postponed and or canceled, what is your relationship with Impact? Could we see you working with them in the future?
Who knows? Just as every other booking that I've had in the last 2 or 3 months, there wasn't a whole lot spoken about. It was just, it's not happening. So I guess we'll revisit that when we find out if this is really the end of the world or if we're going to be able to come out of this.
We're all certain from uncertaintitis right now.
Yeah.
And to answer those questions is very difficult. But in closing, Ken, because I know you've got to get back to your issues of immediate consequence, how do people sign up for the Academy when that time comes? How do they learn more about the Academy to learn the ins and outs of pro wrestling?
You can go to our website. It's theacademyprowrestling.com. You can send us a text message at 507-722-2776.
One more
time. Or you can call that number, 507-722-2776. And you can visit, we have a Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Facebook is the Academy School of Professional Wrestling. Our Instagram is the Academy SOPW, and our Twitter is the same. And then, of course, me, you can catch me on Mr. MR Ken Anderson. That's my Twitter, and my Instagram is Mr. MISTER Ken Anderson, spelled out.
We're going to have to write all that down for everybody. Ken Anderson, thank you for all the years of support. Thank you for joining us here on the show here as well. Best of luck to you up in Minneapolis. We want to see the Academy back up and running as quickly as possible. And we hope to hear from you again here soon on PWR Primetime Live.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Ken Anderson. Can you do it, Dave? Anderson. Always great having Ken Anderson with us here on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Live. Thank you for your comments, interacting with us live. Thank you, Ken, for joining us as well. What?
It's time to get serious.
About? I thought we've been serious all night.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
live, pal.
I know. Doing it live.
Oh, you had nothing to say. It's time to get serious for like everybody else, not you. Oh, you are something else.
I am.
It's time for this week's hot news, and a lot to talk about, to get to quickly. We've got 12 minutes left of the broadcast. Raw starts soon. We'll talk about that in the preview in just a moment. But first, so we got to go there. I've been known to shake a tail feather. I've been known to back that thing up. I don't know if I've ever been known to manipulate my body in such a way that Rob Gronkowski did this past Friday night on SmackDown, David Hero. The Gronk dance debuted on SmackDown.
I absolutely hated everything about it. It was arrogant, it was cocky, it was narcissistic, and I, as a wrestling fan, as someone that has been on both sides of the curtain, it was almost disrespectful to think that he felt he could do all that on his real first time in the ring.
So you're just jealous because you can't dance. You can't do
If I could, I wouldn't dance like that.
Here's the question, though. Did WWE and Gronkowski win? Because you've been cheering on social media. Everybody's been cheering on social media. Their own remixes of the Gronk dance.
Yeah.
So it worked.
It did, but
they got us again.
Okay, but is it good business? They're lucky WrestleMania is going to be at an empty warehouse.
You're just not going to stop saying that.
Because this way, they won't have the boos. Because the fans will boo Gronkowski, especially in Florida.
Let's go to the associates all over the United States. Joining us, Drew Meathead and Linda Kay. Linda Kay is going to be featured tomorrow night on Reaction when we go live at 7 p.m. featuring your comments, hashtag PWR Live. But the Gronk dance this past Friday night on SmackDown. He's the host of Wrestlemania, but I'm not sure he's going to be hosting a nightclub dance event anytime in the near future.
If the money's good, he will.
Be like a reality star doing those appearances. Drew, what do you say about the Gronk?
I mean, I thought the dance was ridiculous, but I think to, go against Dave's point, the first time you're going to see Gronk in a match is probably in Boston, so he's going to be just fine with that crowd. Trust me on that.
Is there a little event
I did
there
think
in
the
August?
dance. They are there in August, yeah.
SummerSlam?
Yes. I can't see anybody respecting that dance, but I think that could be turned into an angle. WWE's very good at making somebody come out and say you're disrespecting my business, et cetera, et cetera. I think you'll see something of it sooner rather than later.
It's going to have to be a heel because right now Gronk is a heel. Because you can't have him work a baby face in Boston because they're going to boo the baby face and cheer the heel Gronk.
Sure. He had Mojo with him, though. Mojo's not a good...
And they're going to boo him also.
Well, Mojo wouldn't be getting no TV time if it wasn't for Gronk.
Yeah, he's getting less TV time than Ricochet right now.
I did like the suit. Oh, here we go. You had to bring it back. Of course. Yep. See, if you haven't watched this show, we ain't new. We've been around for 22 years. This one has an issue with wrestlers who are less than 285 pounds.
That's not true.
He had an issue with Finn Balor. He had an issue with Daniel Bryan. He had an issue with anybody who's quote-unquote
okay, well,
small.
hold on a second. Those two small guys you just talked about, what happened to both of them?
What do you mean?
They both had huge injuries that derailed their careers.
Oh, and that's because they're small?
Yes.
Let's go continue around the horn. Linda, what was the question? I forgot.
Gronk's the Gronk dance. Well, just like that emoji, I placed my head in my hand and shook it because it was just ridiculous. But I will say, obviously, with Gronk and with WrestleMania being aired on ESPN, we are now catering to not just our general wrestling fan or casual wrestling fan, but our general sports fan. Pretty much all other sports are out of commission right now, but we still have those who are longing for some type of sports connection with Gronk dancing. And you know what? On the WWE website, when they announced WrestleMania being aired on ESPN the next couple Sundays, they had a quote from Stephanie McMahon that said, "This is our pop culture extravaganza, not wrestling, not sports entertainment extravaganza, but pop culture." And Gronk is definitely that, especially too.
What was pop culture on that was when he was dry humping the ring post up the stairs.
It was a unique look. It was different. Meathead, we've seen you cut a floor a couple of times.
Right.
Whoops.
I'm disappointed that you guys hated it because that's what I looked like at my wedding. No wonder I wasn't able to come back. I mean, that was my wedding dance. I've done that dance.
The pole and all.
First of all, you
had a pole at your wedding.
Wait. First of all, you got married at Gitmo. Okay. So it's like, did you think you were gonna come back?
And then the reception was at White Castle?
Yeah.
That was a Harold and Kumar reference.
As awful as the dance was, there's nothing else. You're talking about it, you're talking about it, you're talking about it, we're all talking about it. So it did what it was supposed to do. Because it's an empty arena. We need something.
Well, folks, the Gronk, well, he's a character. He's got charisma.
And you know what? He's going to be a draw for them.
In New England?
No. On ESPN, on all the other sports networks. Everyone's going to talk about Gronk. But, man, that was just... Whoever told him that was a good idea really doesn't know. It was just a huge mistake.
You know, Dave, this is... Now that you say that, you make a great point. This is the baby of WWE and ESPN. This is what they made. This is the ultimate crossover now. It's Gronk on WrestleMania. This is the baby they made.
Let's do some quick takes as we are running out of time here. We'll go around the horn in order. Drew, then Meathead, then Linda. First, big news. WWE has made the network and most, if not all, content of it available free of charge. All you have to do is sign up, not subscribe. And they're doing that, of course, in the current situation. Thoughts? Drew?
Yeah, I love it. Good for them. I think it's something you should do. Let people be entertained in their homes. I absolutely love it. I think it's smart marketing. It's business 101. They'll be raking in money sooner rather than later.
Meathead.
Yep, it's like Schooner Tuna back during the Mr. Mom days. We're going to lower the price, and then once we've got you hooked, and when the current situation fixes itself, then it's time to charge.
Linda Kay.
Not much more to add. Obviously, a great decision, getting more eyes able to catch the product, and in the long run, once this all passes, you'll have more fans to subscribe.
So it's free through WrestleManias, right?
They have not put an end date on it. They've just made it available to all, much like Mesh, the MLB and I think NFL Network or NBA Network has done as well. AEW, folks, Dynamite, several postponements, date changes of the live events, but not necessarily the broadcasts. But they've also postponed Blood and Guts, obviously not the right time. Long statement from Tony Khan on Twitter late last week. But we do know that coming up this Wednesday, it will be a confrontation between Matt Hardy and Chris Jericho. Quick takes on the postponement of Blood and Guts. Drew.
I think it's a smart move. I think the fans are going to clamor for it when it does happen, and I think it's going to be their biggest event, if not big event. It's going to be their biggest draw on TV for sure.
Linda.
They need to. I mean, it's, I would say, okay to postpone Blood and Guts versus postponing WrestleMania, where that's already been in place how many years. I think they'll be just fine postponing it.
And Meathead.
Blood and Guts needed an audience for it as well in the building, so, I mean, it just makes sense. It's good business.
Thank you, hitting on those quick takes for hot news. And David Hero, Chris S82 on YouTube has a question.
Okay, what's the question?
Well, it's on the screen. You need to look at your monitor there?
Oh, look
That's
at
not,
yours.
yeah, no. Why don't you
What?
use your own? Can you guys stay
My
on the
monitor's
air?
broke.
Because Monday Night Raw is going to absolutely suck. It's going to be interesting. Hey, here's an interesting point to that, Chris. And whether it does or does not, they have seen higher ratings for SmackDown, Raw, SmackDown, not necessarily NXT, in these studio shows they've been doing over the last few weeks.
Because people got to stay in their houses now.
But thank you for that comment. And as you know, this show is based on you. It's for you, and we each week will be awarding, each episode be awarding the super fan from our previous episode. He who commented the most, or she who commented the most while we were live on Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. And Dave, I understand that there's a prize.
We're actually giving away a collar and elbow sweet gift bag. We're going to get some merch, some autographs, and gimmicks, courtesy of Collar and Elbow, PWR, and Ohio Valley Wrestling.
And let's reveal last week's winners from Friday's broadcast, those who were most socially interactive with us on YouTube. Chris S82, on Twitter, Curtis Simmons, and on Facebook, Nate Padberg. All you guys have to do to redeem your prize is to send an email to Superfan, that's Superfan, at pwr360.com. Again, Superfan at pwr360.com with your name, email, and your address, along with your social media username, and we'll get those prize packs out to you. We'll have more prize winners on Wednesday's show, but before we do that, real quick, let's go around the horn. Raw is live in just under 2 minutes tonight. We know that Randy Orton will respond to Edge's challenge, and Brock Lesnar will be in some house. What are we going to see? What are you guys looking forward to? 15 seconds or less. Drew.
I'm looking forward to Randy Orton. I think they should be in the main event.
You hear voices?
I do.
Linda Kay.
Same. Want to see Randy Orton's response to Edge from last week.
And Meathead.
I want to see if Brock Lesnar actually comes to the building, or is he going to use this paid appearance part, for later down the road. I think it's a live remote.
He'll be appearing live from the bus. David Hero, Raw tonight. What do you think?
Just want to see Paul Heyman's promo. He's the guy that's going to convince everyone to tune in to watch the show.
Folks, speaking of tuning in to watch the show, thank you to all of you for joining us live. Remember, we're live on Fight TV every Monday, Wednesday, Friday with Primetime Live at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock Central. And as announced tonight, we will be live as well on Tuesdays and Thursdays with the all-new PWR Reaction, taking us live 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday, as we get through this challenging situation in our country and around the world. Damian, myself, and David will be coming to you each night, Monday through Friday, so thank you for joining us. Just 30 seconds left in the broadcast. I want to thank Ken Anderson for joining us. Wednesday
his
night,
hot wife, I guess, too. Huh?
Wednesday night, big news. 2 huge guests, Al Snow and the Blue Meanie will be with us. The Job Squad on Wednesday night on Primetime Live. For Drew, for Linda, for the man they call Meathead, and that one. This is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for joining us here on Prime Time. We'll see you again tomorrow night for reaction here on Fight TV.